Hey, it's Double R here, and welcome to another edition of Putting It on the Table. Here with me is the one and only fellow Barbadian putting out his very first book entitled I Am So Blessed, The Journey, the one and only Mr. Ainsley Carter. Ainsley, how are you?
I'm so blessed to be here.
Eh?
It's a wonderful thing that that you can get out and have a little fun with your work and um, show the world what you can do.
Well, I've read a little bit about what you are thinking. I've read a little bit of your inner thoughts that you've expressed throughout this book. But before we get into that, let's get into this. Let's take a minute to say thank you to
Global
our sponsor.
Impact Discussion Zone Publishing is just the beginning of where writers' dreams can come true, a place where thoughts are explored and writers' obstacles are conquered.
We're back. Again, your book, I Am So Blessed, The Journey. Tell me about this title.
Uh, the title, I don't know. A lot of things wake me up. So I don't know why at that time why the title, but I know now because of to me life's journey. Choosing your spots, choosing your battles, and from the battles, the encouragement to others, and eventually the I am so blessed the journey. I wanted to make sure that when the readers read it, that they feel as if it is their journey also. So it's not just my journey, it's not just my story, but it's also everyone that purchased the book. They have something in here, in the book, that they can relate to.
Okay. Okay. Well, I read the first poem and talked about how grateful you are, how appreciative you are, and how blessed you are. And I always look at the first thing that a person put into their book because it sort of signifies who they are and that first thought that you want the reader to read. Why that particular one?
Well, see, as you go through adversities and you come out of adversities and you look on yourself and say, well, wow, thank you. Thank you, Lord, because now I know how to fight a battle. But then in life, you realize that you have to be able to fight the obstacles so that you can win. And what do you say? My daddy didn't raise no fool, but he was a fighter. So, the obstacles, the battles, and then making sure that the folks around you know that they can win the battles also, their battles also.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you were born in Barbados. Tell me about your childhood.
Well, born in Barbados, originally from Sunbury, St. Philip, but the house burnt down, so we moved to Six Roads, St. Philip, where, for many years, I guess I was around 3 when we moved to Six Roads, St. Philip. And from there, we have a lot of time to get into mischief, time to play, time to climb trees, and time to learn. And Dad and Mom always made sure that we stayed close. They had a keen eye on us. And I guess that's where a lot of the challenges and winning the challenges come from, because you had to be smart to outsmart Dad. So if you're gonna try to be outsmarting people at a young age, you got to do a pretty good job of it. So that's Six Roads and everything else like that.
Six Rows. Now, you dedicated this book to a few people, including your mom and dad. And if my memory serves correctly, it said, remember, one of them passed before the publishing.
Right. That it is funny also that someone told me, "Hey, there's a lot of people that passed in this book," but it's not the passing. It's pretty much where you say that the input that they had. So everyone that is in this book had to have some kind of positive input for me to be here. And to be able to say to everyone that if sometimes we say, well, they're looking down. Well, if you're looking down, please know that you did a very good job of making me be aware of the next step.
So there are a few poems in this book that I would like to discuss today. Let's start off with Flutters. Tell me a little bit about this one.
Well, flutters, I don't know. These things come to me, and sometimes they'll wake you up and everything else like that. But flutters, I challenge people and say, well, what is it? My heart flutters, skips and races, miss the beat faster than I can think. It's a nervous feeling, and I challenge folks to say, what is it? And 5% of the people get it right. But I'm not going to tell the readers what to think. But it is just that I want to challenge people to think. Instead of writing things out, I want you to be able to sit back, read, think, and come up with a solution.
And that's what I enjoy about your poems, because it's not just about rhyming things that just sound good, but you force a person into creative thinking. You force a person to say, "Wow, is that me, or is that just like Flutters?" As you said, maybe my heart is fluttering for love, or maybe my heart is fluttering because I'm scared of flying. Right. There's so many things, and that's why I thought that one was terrific. There's another one that I want to touch upon also, and that one is entitled "The Jackass and the Horse."
Ooh, the jackass and the horse. In life, when I was growing up in Barbados, we don't have it down there no more. We had the jackass, the donkey, carried a heavy load, and then the guy comes around on the horse, and he's smug, and the horse is just looking like, take that load with you. And if you take that and you look at yourself and you say, well, wait a minute, why am I accepting the other person's burden? So some of the poetry, some of the stories, I just want to bring it from a visual of what you're seeing and translate it into you, the person, you, the reader, you, the person that is happening to. And we would say, all right, so what did the jackass learn from the horse? If we can say that the jackass really learned something from the horse, then he moved up to be something else mentally. Right. Because a jackass in the physical is still going to be the jackass in the physical, and the horse is going to be the horse in physical. But if you translate it and you say, well, okay, how do I mentally move forward? Then you'll get a picture of the story.
Nice. And don't give it away, because it's a great read, guys. It's a great read. Again, it's entitled "I Am So Blessed, The Journey." And this is volume 1, so I'm sure there's a lot more to come. We'll talk about that later. There are some great stories in here, and I read them, I get lost. It's almost like reading a short story, so to speak. I don't even think about poetry as I read this. I just think of another story. Some are humorous in such a serious way. Let's if you don't mind, can I touch upon another one here? And if I'm not mistaken, it is Deception. Deception was a big one for me when I read that, because it made you think. It made you get lost in yourself for a moment and say, hey, let me not spoil it for you. Tell me about it.
Deception, a lot of us walk around and you're judged. You're judged by your smiles, you're judged by the work you do, you're judged by, how serious you look, all these things. But nobody knows what you're thinking. Nobody knows what you're feeling. And at the end of the day, you have a choice to make. Should I be truthful about who I am, how I'm feeling? Or should I try to live this lie. And the more you try one way or the other, at the end of the day, you have to make a decision. So most of this book is about you making that decision. Now, I also want to add that there are almost 60 poems in here, but the other book, which we will touch on soon, will be more. And I want to say that some of the readers of this book demanded spicier. So instead of tickling the mind as the outline say, the other book should punch you in the face.
Okay. That's a, that certainly is a graphic image of what's to look forward to. But I still on that deception, right?
Yes.
You know, it made me think for a second because a lot of times people say, "Hey, Double R, how are you?" I'm all right. I'm doing good. I'm fine. You know, but sometimes inside you're like, "Man, I'm so stressed. I don't know, you know, where that next how that bill is going to get paid, or you know, but you get caught up into saying just giving a response and not saying how you truly feel. But sometimes when you say how you truly feel, man, let me tell you, I'm going through it all today. You know, who's going to care? Who's really going to care?
You know what? And I'm going to get personal. You have to remember, you should remember that life in essence would break you apart. People will tear you up and chew you out and spit you out and all these kind of things. At the end of the day, you still have a choice. Your choice is, how am I going to get over this hurdle? And I look on life as mountains, valleys, plain. You know, mountains, valleys, plain. And that's what we do daily, mountains, valley, plain. And if you take a small portion of life and you just have it govern the rest of your life, in the negative way, you're in trouble. In the positive way, you're also in trouble. So that's why you get the plane, because they're able to say, let me try to balance out this journey. So we used to say, well, every day cannot be Monday or Tuesday. Every day comes with a different assortment. And deception says that if you're going to grow negatively in your deception or positively in your deception, you still have to find the balance to life and whatever deception that you're in. Because if we were to look on deception, well, I'm the biggest school guy there is. That's what you tell the ladies. I'm so cool. Until you meet that challenge, and then the lady found out that, man, you were lying all the time. So I guess everybody has a certain amount of deception, but how are you going to use it?
Well said. Well said. And guys, I said it before and I'm going to say it again. It's a great read. I am so blessed. The Journey. This is volume 1. As we were going to talk about, if there's a volume 1, does that mean that there's a volume 2 coming?
The volume 2 will be here sometime next month. Okay. And as I said before, we made it stronger. We were hoping to have it published months ago, but in listening to the readers and the people that came back and said, look, I need more. I need it stronger. I need it spicier. We added a few things to it. One of them would say, me wanting you and me not wanting you. So those are 2 different poems that would be in there. my father's daughter. Then we have woman, lady, princess, queen,
Lady.
princess, queen, right? Uh, then we have reality. We have TikTok. We have so many more that's in there. And that particular book will have about 70 poems.
Wow.
So between the two books, somewhere around 140 poems or more, 150 poems. But guarantee that where one starts, the other one follows. So, and by the way, I want to say this to folks. I want to know that I'm encouraging people to say, follow your dreams. Parents, have your lower your ego so that the children can bring their talents. Encourage them to use their talents. When I was coming up, I asked Dad, I said, well, Dad, why? Why are you pushing so hard for us to be educated? And he said, son, because I do not want you to be out there in the cane fields making the other folks rich. So he pushed. But in pushing, they overlooked the things that you love to do. Okay, so they did their job in awakening us to a certain extent. But I tell folks that every man, every woman, child could be a Michael Jordan if you help them expand on their talents. And talents change with time, but to me, you should allow them to grow within their talents so that they, like the ant, A-N-T, we didn't say anything about that. But the ant say, if you allow them, they have no ruler, no king, no supervisor, no this, no that. Why? Because they're born with certain talents. And if we can look at something as small as the ant and how they operate, some people say they're a nuisance. They sting you, they do this. Learn from them and say, well, wait a minute. And then you see how disgruntled your children are about doing certain things that you forced upon them. But they're happy to, it could be anything of a smile to make somebody happy. Whatever their talent is, encourage them.
Well said. Well said. The Ant, you must read that one. Definitely read that one. And there's so many great poems in here. In this book, you talk about love, relationships, just life, nature, life. Tell me about one other poem that perhaps I didn't read.
I Love You Still.
Yes, I love you still. I read that one. I read that one.
I Love You Still. I was in the process of surprising someone with a book. And, there was a lady in another car, and she appeared to be of the Jewish faith. And I use the word appeared because I do not know. But, we tend to be judgmental. And she had a really great personality for someone of that nature, because I'm going to keep to myself, you're going to stay to yourself. But it didn't work out that way. And so because of her personality, I said, you know what, Ainsley, let me give her a book. And then she said, is it a religious book? And I said, no, it's a poetry book. Back and forth, so I convinced her. And she took the book, and she spun it around, and she said, oh, I see you're from Barbados. Okay. So she accepted the book. A couple minutes later, I'm back in my car out to go. And she said, wait. I'm going to read this one for my husband. I'm like, this is a magician. How could she read so fast?
Yeah, because I think if I remember correctly, that's in the middle of the book. So it wasn't the first or it wasn't the last. You know?
I guess it was just by accident, whatever it is, she opened up and she said, I said, what are you going to read to your husband? She said, I've been married for 22 years. And I'm going to read, I love you still. And I'm sorry, it is not meant to be that is, I love you with a pause still. So it leaves the door open for all the negative and positive and all the disagreements and everything else like that. And it was there and then that I said, you know what? This book is not about a certain sector of people. It affects everyone. And I said, you know what? There was something that said, I want this book to be a handbook to many. And that people will put it in their bags and throw it in their cars. And just when something happens, they open up the book and go back to that favorite poem. Now, I want to tell you that there's some in here that grown men cry. People cry. Some people say the book is heavy. I said, what do you mean the book is heavy? It's a small book. Well, I had to read it twice, 3 times. I read it slowly. I had 2 people that said, when I go to the park, we read to each other. And I think that that's tremendous. So that's when when I start to believe that, you know what, I'm onto something, because it's affecting people.
Guys, you just got to pick this one up. But before I put it down, I have to say thank you to our sponsors one more time, especially Phase 2 for sponsoring the shirt today. Without them, we wouldn't be here. I also want to say thank you to Legal for Funerals of Mount Vernon, a very big supporter, new location in Mount Vernon, and I think his business is going to do well. My experience was fantastic when I visited Legal for Funerals of Mount Vernon. Also, top quality mufflers. You hear all the guys in Brooklyn driving around with the loud mufflers, and I had a conversation with Roy over there, and he explained the whole thing to me. Guys, if you've got a real problem with your muffler, head on over to Top Quality Mufflers. Also want to say thank you to Josh Auto Repair. All right, summertime, want to get that little tune up, make sure your car is running right, putting the right oil in it. Josh Auto Repair. If you love putting in sauce, cuckoo, mac and cheese, fried chicken, red snapper, kingfish, jerk pork, stewed pork, and you want to just wash it down with some good Marby or fruit punch. And the best part about Aunt Bev's is the cassava pone. Give her a call right now, 347-693-4961. When it comes to leading Caribbean food in Brooklyn, New York, Culpepper's Restaurant. That's right, Mr. Lewis and staff, I thank you guys so much for sponsoring, putting it on the table. Again, thank you so much to our wonderful sponsors, man. We truly appreciate it. Ainsley, now, again, you said there's another book coming. We're going to look out for that. But where can we find this book right now? Because I'm talking about it. Guys, it's a great read. Ainsley, where can we find it?
Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, Roku, Cups and Books on Bedford Avenue in Brooklyn.
Okay, good.
Also, Barbados, University Bookshop, Clyster Books,
Really?
Disney.
Let's say you want an autograph version of this book here. Is that possible?
Very, very possible. AinsleyACarter.com. You can go there, place your order. You can also put what you want to be in the autograph, and then the book will be mailed out to you, or you can pick it up there. And that's the only place that you will get the autograph book would be on that site. Any place else is not recognized.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. And again, we are talking to the one and only Mr. Ainsley Carter. The interview with Ainsley Carter. So as we wrap it up here, and I'm going to say it again, I can't stop saying it because it really is a great read. I am so blessed. The Journey. This is volume 1. He's coming out with a second volume. So in other words, you got to get your first one. Get that autograph. So when you get the second one, you really have his collection, because it's not going to stop there for Ainsley. I can tell he has a lot of poetry to unleash, and Ainsley, I mean, I don't know how you do it, man. What's the inspiration again?
Anything that wakes me up, anything that drives me to think. And bear in mind, as volume 2 is approaching, there's another one that is already in the works.
Ooh, see what I mean, guys? You have to get your volume 1. You have to get your volume 1. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before we go, Ainsley?
Sure. My entire family. My wife, who put up with all the written pieces of paper all over the place, because if I wake up at night and I start to write and everything else, she goes on the table, she has to move the computer and the books and all this kind of stuff. My children, my daughter, my son, they got to put up with the, can we do this, can we do that? And my grandson, the terror of the, smart little kid. Before I go, I said, folks, again, make sure that your children and your grandchildren, make sure that you know that that's your future, and you should do everything to protect them. All right.
Sounds good. There it is, the one and only Mr. Ainsley A. Carter, Volume 1. I am so blessed. The journey, his journey. Thank you so much, Ainsley. Thank you. Thank you. And there it is. Yours truly, Double R, putting it on the table. And of course, tonight, we're putting it right here on the table. See you soon.